Welcome, everybody, to another episode on our channel, Utah Elevated. We're excited today to talk about if you are relocating for the military, PCS'ing, as they say, to Hill Air Force Base. Where should you live? We're going to dive into that and also talk a little bit about the military culture and connections here in the state of Utah, and there are many.
Well, and my first question has got to be, what does PCS stand for? Because honestly, I don't know.
It's a permanent change of station.
Thank you.
Well, good to know.
And it's essentially a military order stating that you're going to go to a new location. So one person might be moving from one base to another.
And it's in a way, it's kind of a temporary permanent change because you make a PCS, you're probably going to be moving again in a couple of years.
We just did that with some people a few months ago. We helped them move here, lived here 5 or 6 years, and orders came up, and we helped ship them up to Montana.
Yeah.
So,
do you guys know how old Hill Air Force Base is?
I'm going to take a guess. 1953.
It actually came into existence in the 1930s.
I was going to say 1930.
Man, I was way off.
Before World War II started. And it's grown into be, what do you guys think, size-wise, compared to other Air Force bases in the United States? Where does Hill Air Force Base fall?
I would guess somewhere in the top 5.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, it's actually number 2, the second largest Air Force base in the country when you take into account population and then the geographic size. And some of that is extending out to the Utah Test and Training Range, which is a huge deal. It's the largest continuous land area of protected airspace. Any guesses on how many employees there are at Hill Air Force Base?
I don't know the exact number, but it is the largest employer in the state of Utah. I know that.
Yeah, in fact, and I don't know if a lot of people know that. The Hill Air Force Base is actually the largest single-site employer in the state of Utah. There's just over 22,000 military and civilian employees.
Wow.
That makes sense, especially around traffic time. If you're trying to move around the base,
Right.
It turns into a bit of a mess, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's huge economic impact for our state. Billions. I think we were talking about this a little bit earlier. What are some of the numbers on the impact it has?
Yeah, it's over $3 billion for the local Utah economy, and it's even larger. The overall economic impact is somewhere closer to $7 billion for the state. It's a huge deal, yeah. And as we know, one of the coolest air shows every couple of years is held here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the geography of Hill is a little unique because it's kind of right in the middle of civilization, right? We've got over 15 cities that basically border the base. And that's where it can become challenging deciding, well, which one should I choose? Because you have this huge range. For example, in Layton, the average sales price is, in the high 400s. Roy, which is only a few minutes away, high 300s. So you've got a big range of prices and types of homes to choose from, depending on your budget. So
yeah, well, and all three of us are Davis County boys, and so we've, the Air Force Base has always been a part. The backdrop of this community. Growing up, it was always F-16s. I grew up out in Clinton, and besides cow pastures, we also had F-16 flyovers, and it was just a daily occurrence, and you got to see it all the time. It was just normal. I kind of always thought that everybody had an Air Force base around them. We'd go into Salt Lake, and they didn't have that attraction, and it seemed a little interesting.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of my perspective a little bit on growing up with it.
It is kind of funny when friends from Salt Lake come down and they're like, oh, man, these jets are so loud. We don't even notice them.
Right.
Like, it's so far from the front of my brain because I'm so used to just hearing jets all the time.
it's just background noise
Yeah.
for us at this point.
We did swap out the F-16s for F-35s, and the decibels have, tripled.
Right.
So
They're quite a bit louder.
Yes. Yeah, I wanted to interject that because they always seem to know when I'm outside on the phone. And I get a flyby, and how many times have you had to hang up your phone because of an F-35 flyover? Many times.
Listen to this guy over here, Mr. Luxury, making phone calls in the outer doors.
Pilots looking down like, yep, Jake's out there again, full thrusters.
we're all in the flight path, but there are times where it seems like they've really got our house targeted. So I have waved to pilots before, right over our house. I haven't waved back, but I can see them, and they can come in quite close. So, you've got a built-in air show if you're going to live here.
Yeah,
so.
For sure. Well, and we wanted to talk a little bit about, I currently live in Weber County, just west of Ogden here, and this is definitely an area where people look at when they're considering moving here to work at Hill, because, at most, at the very northern end of Weber County, you're looking at about 25 minutes to get to the base. Where I live, it's closer, it's more like 15 to 20 minutes. So proximity is good. And the prices range from, here in Ogden, like we've talked about, in the high twos, all the way up to, $700,000, $800,000, $900,000.
Yeah. Well, and back to the geography aspect of it, it's always fun to talk to somebody that's going to PCS and that has never passed through Utah.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to give them that guidance, because we can even go up into the other side on the Wasatch Back, and a lot of them do go up into Morgan County, Mountain Green, those areas. It's a little bit extreme, but I've talked to a lot of people that go as far as Cache Valley. You're asking for a heck of a commute, but there are quite a few people that work on base that drive the hour, maybe 2 hours, depending on your winter weather.
Right. If you have snow, the canyon is
if you can even make it down. But I've got, I think a couple years ago, a civilian employee on base moved up to Tremont, and it was perfectly okay with that, and making that drive on a regular basis. It's more than I would want to do.
Yeah, it's not okay with me, but
and the appeal there being, right, that they want to live in a more rural setting, and they're willing to sacrifice a little bit of a commute for that.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that option is there, and we have that too in West Weber County. There's some more rural options, although that's becoming less viable now as things get developed. But a pretty wide range of options for people moving to this area.
Well, and the three of us have helped countless numbers of like civilian contractors as well as active military move into this area. So we do have the experience of giving that guidance. What's kind of interesting with military that have lived all around the world is it's not uncommon to work with somebody that's a first-time home buyer and they're in their late 40s.
Yeah.
Just because they haven't needed to purchase a home as they've lived throughout Europe or Asia and parts beyond.
Yeah. And that one of the cool things about being in the military, I mean, this maybe isn't a cool thing, but it's a nice option, is
it's cool.
It's cool. You're able to utilize your VA loan option. And like Jake says, we see a lot of first-time home buyers that are using that VA loan option for the first time. What are some of the things they should be aware of, Ty, as they go into that?
First thing, just making sure that you're eligible. Just because you're in the military does not mean that you're eligible for the VA loan quite yet. So there are stipulations that you'd want to look into. You can reach out to me and I can let you know what that looks like. But that's the very first thing. The first thing your lender is going to do is order a certificate of eligibility to make sure that you actually qualify for that loan. But it's a really cool loan program. It's very beneficial for the people that are in the military. I don't want to dive too deep into it, but some of the main benefits are lower rates than your standard conventional loan, no mortgage insurance, which is huge. That saves people anywhere from $50 to even upwards of $300 a month, and no down payment, which is the biggest thing. So it can be really lucrative.
Yeah, they're great loans. We love to use them. Just as far as a market update, though, they're actually a lot more useful now because the market's kind of chilled out a little bit. It's not so overheated, and VA is a great option to use right now. And I'll just say a lot of sellers like to see that they've got an active military person, buying their home. If they write a good offer and that's the one they go with, they like seeing that.
It doesn't happen in every case, but I've heard of certain offers being accepted because of that. They're like, oh, it's a VA loan. This is a way I can give back.
Give back. Yeah. They've used that phrase. I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you see that Utah, I think as a whole, is a very friendly community towards members of the military. There's definitely a lot of patriotism here, and someone that's PCSing to Hill Air Force Base is going to be able to find a good military community, and just the community in general is going to support them. Pretty much every small business in this area gives a military discount. And it's, not uncommon to go out to eat at restaurants all around our office here and see members of the military in uniform having a meal and getting a nice discount on top of that.
So maybe some a logistical aspect of this is many times people contact us and they are in Germany or they're in wherever they are, and they need to arrive at a certain date, and they want to move into a house at that time. Now, for a lot of people, that seems like a very uncomfortable decision. But I remember early 2000s, one of the first families I helped move here, and it was from Germany. This was before smartphones and that type, YouTube and things like that. And I actually recorded a DVD
with your camcorder,
with my
walking around the house.
Converted it to a DVD and mailed it to them on this particular home. And gave a neighborhood tour, the whole 9 yards. It actually took quite a while. They're still in that home today. I mean, we're almost 20 years later. But now technology has made this so much easier. We can use a variety of video apps, and you can see it either real time. Marco Polo is one that I use quite a bit. So, if we've got differing schedules, while they're sleeping, I'm touring a home, creating a video. They can watch it at any time. And so you can overcome kind of the logistical challenges of buying a home just through technology, and that's something that we do on a regular basis.
Yeah. I think, if you've got your orders or it's something that might potentially happen in the future, reach out to us. We can help you understand what steps you need to take when coming to Utah, relocating to Hill, and kind of pointing out the pros and cons of all of these many cities that really border the base.
Yeah. I live in East Layton, and Layton borders kind of the southern side of the Air Force Base. And, of course, with that, we've got a ton of military that live throughout our communities. We have the experience and the know-how of helping people make that transition, whether you've ever been to Utah or not, find a good fit while you come and live in our community.
Yeah, so reach out to us if you're making that permanent change of station.
I will say this, and this is not an uncommon thing as well. We've actually had people that were stationed here in Utah previously. They liked it so much, and even though they got transferred to other areas, when they get out of the military and retire, they come back.
Yeah,
they really like it here.
I've heard of that too.
All right. Well, thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe and get a hold of us. We'll see what we can do to help you.
Thanks.
We're Utah Elevated. We'll see you next time.